Hello again, so happy you could join us. We are reading from the Complete Jewish Bible, which is a translation of the Hebrew Bible. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 4 through 9. Shema. Hear, Israel, Adonai our God, Adonai is one, and you are to love Adonai your God with all your heart, all your being, and all your resources. These words, which I am ordering you today, are to be on your heart, and you're to teach them carefully to your children. You're to talk about them when you sit at home, when you're traveling on the road, when you lie down, and when you get up. Tie them on your hand as a sign. Put them at the front of a headband around your forehead, and write them on the door frames of your house and on your gates. Matthew chapter 6, verses 9 through 14. Our Father in heaven, may your name be kept holy. May your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us the food we need today. Forgive us what we have done wrong, as we too have forgiven those who have wronged us. And do not lead us into hard testing, but keep us safe from the evil one. For kingship, power, and glory are yours forever. We're up to Genesis chapter 29. Continuing his journey, Jacob came to the land of the people of the east. As he looked, he saw a well in a field, and there were 3 flocks of sheep lying there next to it. Because they watered the sheep from that well, the stone on the well's mouth was large, and only when all the flocks had gathered there would they roll the stone away from the opening of the well and water the sheep. Then they would put the stone back in its place on the well's opening. Jacob said to them, "My brothers, where are you from?" They answered, "We're from Haran." He asked them, "Do you know Lavan, the grandson of Nahor?" They said, "We do." He asked them, "Are things going well with him?" "Yes," they answered, "and here comes his daughter Rachel with the sheep." He said, "Look, there's still plenty of daylight left, and it isn't time to bring the animals home, so water the sheep, then go and put them out to pasture." They answered, "We cannot, not until all the flocks have been gathered together, and they roll the stone away from the opening of the well. That's when we water the sheep." While he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, because she took care of them. When Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, Jacob went up and rolled the stone away from the opening of the well and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother. Jacob kissed Rachel and wept aloud. Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's relative and that he was Rivka's son, and she ran and told her father. When Laban heard the news of Jacob, his sister's son, he ran to meet him, hugged him, and kissed him, and brought him to his house. Jacob told Laban all that had happened. Laban said to him, "You are indeed my own flesh and blood." After Jacob had stayed with him for a whole month, Laban said to him, "Why should you work for me for nothing, just because you are my relative? Tell me how much I should pay you." Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the older was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachel was good-looking with beautiful features. Jacob had fallen in love with Rachel and said, "I will work for you 7 years in exchange for Rachel, your younger daughter." Laban answered, "Better that I give her to you than to someone else. Stay with me." So Jacob worked 7 years for Rachel, and it seemed only a few days to him because he was so much in love with her. Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife, since my time is finished, so that I can start living with her." Laban gathered all the men of the place and gave a banquet. In the evening, he took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to Jacob, and he went in and slept with her. Laban also gave his slave girl Zilpah to his daughter Leah as her slave girl. In the morning, Jacob saw that he was with Leah, and he said to Laban, "What kind of thing is this that you've done to me? Didn't I work for you for Rachel? Why have you deceived me?" Laban answered, "In our place, that isn't how it's done, to give the younger daughter before the firstborn. Finish the marriage week of this one, and we'll give you the other one also in exchange for the work you will do for me during yet another 7 years." Jacob agreed to do this, so he finished her week, and Laban gave him his daughter Rachel as his wife. Laban also gave to his daughter Rachel his slave girl Bilhah as her slave girl. So not only did Jacob go in and sleep with Rachel, but he also loved Rachel more than Leah. Then he served Laban another 7 years. Adonai saw that Leah was unloved, so he made her fertile, while Rachel remained childless. Leah conceived and gave birth to a son whom she named Reuben. For she said, "It is because Adonai has seen how humiliated I've been. But now my husband will love me." She conceived again, gave birth to a son, and said, "It is because Adonai has heard that I am unloved. Therefore, he has given me this son also." So she named him Shimon. Once more she conceived and had a son, and said, "Now this time my husband will be joined to me, because I have borne him 3 sons." Therefore she named him Levi. She conceived yet again, had a son, and said, "This time I will praise Adonai." Therefore she named him Judah. Then she stopped having children. We're reading from Judah, chapter 5. Judges, forgive me, I'm sorry. Judges, chapter 5. On that day, Deborah and Barak, the son of Avinoam, sang this song. When leaders in Israel dedicated themselves and people volunteer, you should all bless Adonai. Hear, kings, listen, princes. I will sing to Adonai. I will sing praise to Adonai, the God of Israel. Adonai, when you went out from Seir, when you marched out from the field of Edom, the earth quaked and the sky shook. Yes, the clouds poured down torrents. The mountains melted at the presence of Adonai at Sinai before Adonai, the God of Israel. In the days of Shamgar, the son of Anat, in the days of Jael, the main roads were deserted. Travelers walked the byways. The rulers ceased in Israel. They ceased until you arose. Deborah arose, a mother in Israel. They chose new gods when war was at the gates. Was there a shield or spear to be seen among Israel's 40,000 men? My heart goes out to Israel's leaders and to those among the people who volunteer. All of you, bless Adonai. You who ride white donkeys sitting on the soft saddled blankets, and you walking on the road, talk about it. Louder than the sound of archers at the watering holes will they sound as they would tell the righteous acts of Adonai, the righteous acts of his rulers in Israel. Then Adonai's people marched down to the gates. Awake, awake, Deborah, awake, awake, bring into song. Arise, Barak, lead away your captives, son of Avinoam. Then a remnant of the nobles marched down. The people of Adonai marched down to me like warriors. From Ephraim came those rooted in Amalek. Behind you, Benjamin is with your people. From Machir, the commanders marched down, and from Zebulun, those holding the musterer's staff, the princes of Jessachar, were with Deborah. Jessachar, along with Barak, into the valley they rushed forth behind him. Among the divisions of Reuben, they made great resolution in their hearts. But why did you stay at the pens for the sheep, and listen to the shepherd's flute, playing for the flocks? Concerning the divisions of Reuben, there were great searchings of heart. Gilad lives beyond the Jordan. Dan, why does he stay by the ships? Asher stayed by the shore of the sea, remaining near its bays. The people of Zebulun risked their lives. Naphtali too, on the open heights. Kings came, they fought. Yes, kings of Canaan fought at Ta'anak by the waters of Megiddo. But they took no spoil of silver. They fought from heaven, the stars in their courses. Yes, they fought against Sisera. The Kishon River swept them away, that ancient river. the Kishon River. O my soul, march on with strength. Then the horses' hoofs pounded the ground, their mighty steeds galloping at full speed. Come, Meroz, said the angel of Adonai. Curse the people living there with a bitter punishment for not coming to help Adonai against the mighty warriors. Jael will be blessed more than all women. The wife of Heber the Canaanite will be blessed more than any woman in the tent. He asked for water, and she gave him milk. In an elegant bowl she brought him curds. Then she took a tent peg in her left hand and a workman's hammer in her right. With the hammer she struck Sisera, piercing his skull. Yes, she shattered and crushed his temple. He sank down at her feet. He fell and lay there. He sank at her feet. He fell where he sank down. There he fell dead. Sisera's mother looks out the window, peering out through the lattice. She wonders, why is this chariot so long in coming? Why are his horses so slow to return? The wisest of her ladies answers her, and she repeats it to herself. Of course, they're collecting and dividing the spoil. A girl, 2 girls for every warrior. For Sisera, booty of dyeing clothes. A plunder of colorfully embroidered garments. 2 embroidered scarves for every soldier's neck. May all your enemies perish like this. But may those who love him be like the sun going forth in its glory. Then the land had rest for 40 years. Psalms chapter 29, a Psalm of David. Give Adonai his due, you who are godly. Give Adonai his due of glory and strength. Give Adonai the glory due his name. Worship Adonai in holy splendor. The voice of Adonai is over the waters. The God of glory thunders. Adonai over rushing waters. The voice of Adonai in power. The voice of Adonai in splendor. The voice of Adonai cracks the cedars. Adonai splinters the cedars of the Lebanon and makes the Lebanon skip like a calf, Syrian like a young wild ox. The voice of Adonai flashes fiery flames. The voice of Adonai rocks the desert. Adonai convulses the Kadesh desert. The voice of Adonai causes deer to give birth and strips the forests bare. While in his temple all cry glory. Adonai sits enthroned above the flood. Adonai sits enthroned as king forever. May Adonai give strength to his people. May Adonai bless his people with shalom. So we finished Matthew, and we are starting with Mark chapter 1. The beginning of the good news of Jeshua the Messiah, the Son of God, it is written in the prophet Jeshaiah. I think it's Isaiah. See, I am sending my messenger ahead of you. He will prepare the way for you. The voice of someone crying out in the desert, prepare the way for Adonai. Make straight paths for him. So it was that Johanan, John the Immerser, John the Baptist, appeared in the desert, proclaiming an immersion involving turning to God from sin in order to be forgiven. People went out to him from all over Judah, as did all the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Confessing their sins, they were immersed by him in the Jordan River. Johanan wore clothes of camel's hair, with a leather belt around his waist. He ate locusts and wild honey. He proclaimed, "After me is coming someone who is more powerful than I. I am not worthy even to bend down and untie his sandals. I have immersed you in water, but he will immerse you in the Ruach HaKodesh." Shortly thereafter, Jeshua came from Nazareth in the Galilee and was immersed in the Jordan by Johanan. Immediately upon coming up out of the water, he saw heaven torn open and the Spirit descending upon him like a dove. Then a voice came from heaven, "You are my Son, whom I love. I am well pleased with you." Immediately the Spirit drove him out into the wilderness, and he was in the wilderness 40 days being tempted by the adversary. He was with the wild animals, and the angels took care of him. After Jochanan had been arrested, Jeshua came into the Galil proclaiming the good news from God. The time has come. God's kingdom is near. Turn to God from your sins and believe the good news. As he walked beside Lake Kinneret, he saw Shimon and Andrew, Shimon's brother, casting a net into the lake, for they were fishermen. Joshua said to them, "Come, follow me, and I will make you into fishers for men." At once they left their nets and followed him. Going on a little farther, he saw Jacob ben Zabdi and Jochanan, his brother, in their boat repairing their nets. Immediately he called them, and they left their father Zabdi in the boat with the hired men and went after Jeshua. They entered Capernaum, and on Shabbat Joshua went into the synagogue and began teaching. They were amazed at the way he taught, for he did not instruct them like the Torah teachers, but as one who had authority himself. In their synagogue just then was a man with an unclean spirit in him, who shouted, "What do you want with us, Joshua from Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." But Joshua rebuked the unclean spirit. "Be quiet and come out of him." Throwing the man into a convulsion, it gave a loud shriek and came out of him. They were all so astounded that they began asking each other, "What is this, a new teaching? One with authority behind it? He gives orders even to the unclean spirits, and they obey him." And the news about him spread quickly through the whole region of Galil. They left the synagogue and went with Jacob and Jochanan to the house of Shimon and Andrew. Shimon's mother-in-law was lying sick with a fever, and they told Joshua about her. He came, took her by the hand, and lifted her onto her feet. The fever had left her, and she began helping them. That evening, after sundown, they brought to Joshua all who were ill or held in the power of demons, and the whole town came crowding around the door. He healed many who were ill with various diseases and expelled many demons, but he did not allow the demons to speak because they knew who he was. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Joshua got up, left, went away to a lonely spot and stayed there praying. But Shimon and those who with him went after him, and when they found him, they said, "Everybody is looking for you." He answered, "Let us go somewhere else, to the other villages around here. I have to proclaim the message there too. In fact, this is why I came out." So he traveled all through the Galil, preaching in their synagogues and expelling demons. A man afflicted with Sarats came to Joshua and begged him on his knees, "If you're willing, you can make me clean." Moved with pity, Joshua reached out his hand, touched him, and said to him, "I am willing. Be cleansed." Instantly the Sarats left him, and he was cleansed. Joshua sent him away with this stern warning: "See to it that you tell no one. Instead, as a testimony to the people, go and let the Kohen examine you and offer for your cleansing what Moshe commanded." But he went out and began spreading the news, talking freely about it, so that Joshua could no longer enter a town openly, but stayed out in the country, where people continued coming to him from all around. Numbers chapter 6, verses 24 through 26. May Adonai bless you and keep you. May Adonai make his face shine on you and show you his favor. May Adonai lift up his face toward you and give you his shalom. Thank you so much again for joining us. Until next time, shalom.